Imagine being trapped inside a tunnel, 7 kilometers deep beneath a mountain, surrounded by smoke, fire, and pitch-black darkness. Your car won't move, you can't breathe, and no one can reach you. This isn't fiction. It happened. On March 24, 1999, the Mont Blanc Tunnel, one of Europe's busiest, became a death trap for 39 people. This is the terrifying true story of the day a tunnel became an oven of death. The Mont Blanc Tunnel connects France and Italy, running deep beneath the Alps. It's an engineering marvel. 7.2 miles, 11.6 kilometers, long, carved through solid mountain rock. By the late 1990s, it carried over 1 million vehicles per year. It was busy, it was efficient, but it was also old. Built in the 1960s, its safety systems hadn't kept pace with modern technology. Inside, it was one single tunnel, two-way traffic, no separate emergency lanes, few exits. Fire was always considered the worst-case scenario, but no one expected it to ever really happen. It was a normal Wednesday morning. Traffic flowed as usual. At 10:46 a.m., a Belgian transport truck entered the tunnel from the French side. The truck carried a seemingly harmless cargo, flour and margarine. But margarine is highly flammable. It burns almost like fuel. As the truck traveled deeper into the tunnel, smoke began leaking from beneath it. Other drivers noticed and flashed their headlights, honked their horns. But the driver couldn't see the flames. Inside his cab, it looked like nothing was wrong. By the time he pulled over, it was too late. Within moments, the truck's trailer became fully engulfed in flames. Here's where things spiraled into disaster. The tunnel's ventilation system was designed to push fresh air from Italy to France. That meant the smoke and heat were blown backwards, trapping vehicles behind the truck in a thick, toxic cloud. People abandoned their cars and trucks, desperate to escape. Some tried to turn around, some tried to reverse, but quickly it became impossible to see. Visibility dropped to zero. Breathing became impossible. The tunnel filled with black, toxic smoke from burning plastic, rubber, and fuel. Temperatures soared inside to 1,000 degrees. Cars melted, tires exploded, plastic dashboards turned into poisonous vapor. Many drivers tried to seal themselves inside their vehicles, thinking it would protect them. Tragically, it didn't. French and Italian fire crews were alerted immediately, but as they entered the tunnel, they were forced back. The fire was too intense, the smoke too thick. Fire engines melted inside the tunnel. Even heavy firefighting gear couldn't withstand the heat. Communication between the French and Italian sides was slow and confused. Fire crews from both nations were operating almost blindly, not knowing where the fire was or who might still be alive. Some rescue teams managed to find survivors deep inside emergency shelters, small cubicles built into the tunnel walls. But these shelters weren't enough. They lacked proper ventilation and protection against a fire this massive. Inside, people died in horrifying ways. Some suffocated within minutes, others tried running toward the exits, but the heat and smoke overtook them. One man was found just yards from safety. Another group of firemen survived inside a refuge cell, breathing from compressed air tanks for several hours until they could be rescued. In total, 39 people lost their lives. Most were burned beyond recognition. Some were never identified by their bodies alone. In the months that followed the disaster, investigators uncovered a long list of failures that allowed this tragedy to unfold. The tunnel's ventilation system, instead of pulling smoke away from the vehicles and towards safety, had actually pushed the toxic smoke back toward the trapped drivers, sealing their fate. Communication between the French and Italian tunnel operators was slow, confused, and poorly coordinated. In those critical first minutes, precious time was lost. Emergency exits inside the tunnel were found to be completely inadequate for an event of this scale, and there were no modern fire suppression systems in place to contain or slow the blaze. The truck driver survived. He had managed to escape on foot, but those behind him had no warning and no chance. The Mont Blanc Tunnel remained closed for almost 3 years following the disaster, as authorities carried out a massive overhaul of its safety systems. Escape routes were rebuilt, and new emergency corridors were installed to give people a better chance of surviving any future accidents. Fire detection systems were modernized to catch even the earliest signs of danger, and the ventilation was completely redesigned to properly extract smoke rather than spread it. Regulations on what kinds of goods could be transported through the tunnel became much stricter. This single disaster forced not just France and Italy, but much of Europe to rethink tunnel safety from the ground up. Today, what happened inside the Mont Blanc Tunnel is taught as a painful but necessary lesson in engineering, safety, and human error. Thanks for watching. If you found the story eye-opening, please consider subscribing for more in-depth true stories, disasters, and history you might have never heard of. Stay curious, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.